Hey horror fans, thanks for joining me for this review of The Forever Purge. Yes, it never ends. Even though they tell you it ends, it never ends. Cast and crew information down below. And as usual, the IMDb plot to start. All the rules are broken as a sect of lawless marauders decides that the annual purge does not stop at daybreak and instead should never end. Alright. Um, yeah, Purge, never ending. As far as the movies are concerned, I know some people want them to never end, and other people wish they would have ended several films ago. But that's just a matter of opinion. I, on the other hand, I'm very back and forth with these films. And maybe when they finally conclude one day, if this is this was supposed to be the last one, then after this one came out, they said, oh well, maybe it's not going to be. So I don't know, but maybe one day when it seems like this is truly over, or maybe we have the remake, or I don't know, reboot. Um, Maybe I'll sum up the whole thing, but. I guess I'll just comment on the overall purge before I get into this specific movie, and because I kind of probably gonna have some of the same thoughts with this one. Is that you know I very much overall like the idea, and especially the element of horror that these movies overall present. Um, but I think at the end of the day, they end up being what they are, is a movie, and a movie for a wide audience, and then that, or a theater audience, and then that kind of escapes, what I think a true horror fan is looking for in it. And that's not to say whether this Purge movie is better than that Purge movie. I mean, we can all rank them. We all have our moments. We all have our probably favorite mask that people wear, and favorite deaths, and favorite overall movies, and you can rank them, and you can do all these different things with the Purge series. Um, but I think if you're a horror fan, when you boil down to it, I think the overall idea of the Purge, and then the Purge moments are what you're looking for, and I think overall they always stray away from it. They give you a taste here and there, but overall it just never comes together fully, and some movies do a little bit better job of that than others. Like I said, to be fair, I have to go back and watch them all, um, and tell you which one I thought did the best job. Um, the one thing I always say is the Purge number two should have been the first one, and they could have done the what was the first one and make that the second one. I've always said that it just would have made more sense, but when they made the first one, I guess they weren't sure whether this was going to be a big thing or not, and then now here we are years later. Anyway, um, boiling down to this movie, uh, and another thing that these movies always get into is, or some of them get into, is kind of the sign of the times, or what's going on politically at the moment. That can be comfortable to talk about. That can be uncomfortable to talk about. I'm gonna try not to get too specific there. If I wanted to do that, I could just get on Twitter and get hammered one way or the other. Um, but these movies do touch politically, and I think that this one, as far as politically, is going to take the immigration angle. This is set in Texas, along the close to the Texas-Mexico border. This definitely has a lot of back and forth between Mexicans and white people that are there. There's obviously some racism involved, and that's always a flaming torch for the purge here. Um, this one is kind of starts kind of, or sets off on focuses on uh, some Mexicans that have come here to the United States, and some of them are now working on this ranch, and the guy who runs the ranch actually turns out to be very nice to them. While maybe not everybody on that ranch is so nice to them, or maybe has some underlying hard feelings or dislike for them. And then maybe some other people on this ranch are kind of in between, like are willing to coexist, but maybe thinks overall that maybe they shouldn't be there regardless. So you have a mix of feelings on this ranch. But anyway, it comes down to it's purge night, and let's say that the Mexican people here, they kind of go their own way. The people that live there kind of stay there and hidden. Purge events happen. They show you a little bit of that. Doesn't get greatly into that because what happens here is that the purge is come to an end, and purge night is over. But that's really where the fun of this movie begins. And I think if you've watched the other purge movies, you know that, which has always been kind of funny, is that everybody kind of waits that thing. The siren goes off. And it's supposed to end, and you're supposed to be okay, and everybody's supposed to move on. But to me, it always seemed a little bit ridiculous that if you were about to kill somebody and then the time passed, why wouldn't you still kill them? And some of the movies that really wasn't explored as much. If you watched the TV series, that was explored a little bit more. That the TV series The Purge definitely dealt with the aftermath of anybody who did purge-like stuff either after or during the purge. If you did stuff that you weren't supposed to do, widely you were allowed to do whatever you want, but there were a few things you're not supposed to do. But yeah, if you watch the TV series, and I guess if you're kind of bringing that into the universe as well, I don't know if you were supposed to combine the two or not. You kind of know a little bit more about what happens afterward, once, and why you don't do anything once that clock runs out. But here they don't care. Here that doesn't matter. Here a certain group of people have decided they're not necessarily going to partake in the purge, but they're going to jump on the fact that the purge is ending and scare and kill everybody else who basically lets their guard down. And one of the places it starts is on this ranch, and I'm kind of thinking where I want to be as far as spoilers and so forth. It does start on this ranch, or at least this ranch, since it's following these people here. Events are going to take place on this farm, on this ranch, and like I said, there are people that like people and people that don't like people on this ranch, and I guess everything's going to come to a head here after the purge has ended. And once, I guess, their issues are resolved one way or the other, I'm not going to give away too much here. Soon enough, they're going to find that this ranch is not the only place this is happening, and you're going to follow the people that make it out of this situation. Are going to have to make it through more situations like this, because the purge now is widespread, and you're either with them or against them. And let's just say, one of the points of this is that Mexicans are part of the problem, or part of what they want to get rid of, and so that's an issue there. So obviously, the way events turn out, a couple of the Mexicans on the ranch and a couple of the white people on the ranch obviously end up teaming up, and with that kind of puts them at odds with these people that are now breaking the rules of the purge. It seemed like the government kind of gets involved, and if you watch the show, they have a force that comes in after the purge is ended, and if anybody's continuing to purge, they're dealt with. This force comes in and tries to intervene. They have a little bit of success, but maybe not in all areas. So, you're having this continuing battle go on afterwards. And interestingly enough, where, we hear about Mexicans trying to cross the border here into the United States, it almost becomes a thing where, in order to get safety, Mexico and even Canada to the north, is opened the borders to Americans trying to escape this purge that's kind of out of control, and it becomes basically a race to the border with all kinds of craziness. So with that said, kind of going back to what I said at the start, there are a few of those horror purge moments that you like. There's a scene early in the movie. A couple of people have some really cool rabbit mask on. They trick one of the women into some kind of device, and that's the kind of thing you look for. That's the kind of true purge thing you look for. Um, I believe there was they showed a little bit during the natural purge that goes on during the allowed period of time, but after that, there isn't a whole lot of those kind of moments, and to me, then it kind of strays away from being horror. And to its credit, I mean, here again on IMDb it says action horror thriller, and I would probably put, if I were to list, I'd probably put action thriller horror. And I would say, for each one of these Purge movies, you could probably move horror, maybe further up, maybe even further back. Um, but I think, that is like one of the biggest horror type moments. Um, and it never even gets, like too bloody as far as that's concerned. After that, it becomes almost an action movie. It's a lot of gunfighting. Um, the heroes in the movie have guns. The bad guys have guns. It just becomes a lot of gun battles, and to me that just screams action movie. So again, this is why I say it kind of gets away from the horror of it. Um, to me, that just all this gunfighting. Gunfight. You can have guns in horror, and people kill people with guns, and depending how you do it, it can be pretty brutal. You come up to somebody, pop them in the head real close. You have those scenes. Somebody gives a long dialogue and then just shoots him in the head, and then you see the guy with a hole in his head. Or if it's a blood splattered movie, you just see their heads explode with whatever guns used and so forth. Um, but here, that's not totally the case. It's just a lot of gun battles, shooting back and forth. The guy gets shot, blah down. It's not necessarily all about shooting them and their heads exploding them and so forth. Um, so I think that's one of the disappointing things about the movie is that it doesn't have enough of those horror moments into it. It's just a lot of gun battles. Um, and the other thing about the Purge is that it also becomes very honed in on whoever the people are and the relationships that are built. And, in a way, it shows some good things. It shows people that might not normally, come together. We've seen that not always work out. We've seen that, sometimes people betray each other even in the end. But I think in a case here, you see some white people and you see some Mexican people, and you see them come together, even though maybe they're not totally comfortable with it. And, they're pushed to the limits here. And obviously, at any time, anybody can turn their back on anybody. And it's, the question is, are they going to stay faithful to this bond that they've created from point A to Z, or is that going to break at certain points? And but to me again, that's something that's a little bit annoying with the Purge is that when it hones in on that and it gets away from that, because then again, to me, when you start, I'm a horror fan. I'm looking for the horror, and again, like I said, the Purge sets up such a great horror experience and plot and situation that you want that. But again, they're getting away from it. Dealing with the relationships, and I think one of the women here is even pregnant, so that adds on to it. So it's all relationships and so forth, which is all good, and you get that in horror movies, regular horror movies as well. But I think again, they get tied into building that plot that they get away from the horror, what they could do horror wise in this. I guess overall I would have liked to see a better balance of it. But I guess in this one, since it's a forever purge and actually just all kinds of craziness after the technical purge is over, I guess the gunfighting just kind of makes sense because what else are you going to do? The time for the traps and those crazy sequences that we've seen in some of the other movies, that's kind of over. So what else are you going to get? You're going to get gunfights. So, that's kind of what this one, kind of leads to be. With that said, it still, it's in the Purge universe. It still gives you stuff. If you've watched other Purges, like I said, if you've watched the TV series, you can kind of correlate that with, what is happening here since, the Purge has technically ended. In my mind that, I don't know why they ended the TV series, if it was just because they wanted to or because it didn't do as well or whatever, I don't know. But I guess, where that was and where this movie goes, I guess it makes sense that you can no longer have the TV show. But, is it, to me, I guess, coming to an end here, is it one of the best Purges? No. Was it totally horrible? No. But, I don't know. It just, to me, it was just a good action movie, but not a good horror movie, I guess is the best way to say it. So with that, I think I'm just going to give this one 2 pools of blood. I think you could kind of get what I want out of the Purge movies. Hopefully you get what I want out of the Purge movies. And I don't think that they gave us as much in this one. With that said, I certainly would like to see them continue. And I think that there's angles of this story to be told. And we've seen a little bit of where this actually started. We've seen them go, more into the prequel range. We've seen them do a TV show. We've seen this one be the supposed end of the Purge. But I think there's a lot in between that they could do. I think there's, one of the things with the Purge I'd also like them to explore is this, which they kind of did with the TV show, which is why I liked it. Was the whole government angle and this whole, even some of the groups that are out there that are trying to take advantage of the Purge. We've seen that in some of the other movies. I kind of like those angles and kind of that. I guess, the being rogue in this whole thing. The people that are actually out there doing the Purge. Wish they would focus more on that angle. Would focus more on the people that are doing other bad stuff during the Purge. We're always honed in on the good guys and that relationship and the relationship that those people are building. But, what about the bad guys? I would like to see maybe one of the Purges be built on the bad guys and more of why they're purging. We've seen a little bit of taste of that also in some of the other Purges. Why someone would say, I want to purge. But I mean, really stick to that. Not, like they want to purge and then send them on their way and then, revisit them later in the movie here and there. There's the thing about it that one really creepy tall dude with the scary mask, he went into that party and basically started just killing everybody. I mean, you could see he was crazy and, seeing him and then he was intimidating that other guy that kind of wanted to purge him. But like that kind of direction, like I would want to see, follow him, follow that guy, follow the people that are purging. Show these people, getting ready to make these traps and do these crazy things. And I think there was another one they did. And I was trying to think whether that was the movie or the TV show. I don't remember. There was another guy that he started off kind of cool, and then you totally saw him flip, and you totally saw him go to the other side and be a purger. And to me, that's just more interesting. And maybe just find a better balance between that angle and that, or show an eventual victim or potential victim and a potential killer, and show them kind of coming head to head in different means, and you can build a story around it. I don't know, those are just different ideas. Spitballing here. But I'm going to say 2 pools of blood for the Forever Purge, and that is out of 5. Uh, Again, I'd be open to seeing more. I've been open to seeing more of the TV series, but that's not happening. But if they decide to do more, I will be a sucker and be there as well to watch it. And hopefully, it's more of what I want to see. So with that, horrorgoyreviews.blogspot.com is where you can find more of these reviews. Written reviews, definitely. The video reviews are there as well. But if you just want the video reviews, subscribe to the channel. Post them as much as I can. And Twitter, Facebook information down below. Reach out to me, talk to me about this movie, the Purge series. If you want to talk about the other movies, the TV series, we can do so there. You can talk about this movie. If you want me to review something, hit me up there as well. I give it a try if I can. Comment section if you've seen this movie, you want to talk about it as well. Talk about this review, something I mentioned. Feel free to do it there as well. So with that, the Forever Purge will hopefully continue on, but this review is over. It's not the forever review. So I'll catch you on the next one, horror fans.